What's going on, my broskies? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video, and we're back with another tier list style video. This time we're having a look at all of the accessible ships in the game, and we're going to be talking about them and discussing how useful some of these are, and especially this is going to be very good for beginner players or kind of mid-level players that are needing to decide what ships they want to invest in. And look, the thing is a majority of these ships are free to play. You can get them in the game, and they're relatively accessible, but there are some through the unlockable quests that you will have to spend rainbow gems to get. However, some of the ships that you get from the unlockable quests are some of the best ships in the game. It is what it is. And the thing is they do cost 30 gems per ship you want to unlock, so it can be quite a big investment, you know, dunking those gems into a ship. You want to make sure you pick the right one. So that's what we're going to be going through today. Let's go ahead and just jump into it because there is a lot to go through. Of course, we've got the dinghy. Don't even bother with it. We get this one for free. I mean, just by playing the game, you'll get the Going Merry. And I'm going to say, honestly, that the Merry is sometimes useful. It has the ability to make perfects easier to hit, which, depending on the team comp, it is going to be nice. If you're up against content where you get blinded, sometimes you really want that extra effect to make hitting perfects a bit easier. The marine ship is also sometimes useful because it does increase your crew's HP, which is very good for farming certain content. So I'm not going to say it's not very useful because it is sometimes actually useful. Don't bother with Burate, it's terrible. The Mihawk ship don't even bother with it. It's not really that useful. I actually didn't know the buffs that this ship received. The Alvida ship is actually very good. I'm going to actually say it's sometimes useful. If you're running Mono Striker, which Striker's a very good team, it gives you a good attack boost. It also makes slots appear more often to be matching, and also damage reduction. Like, it's just a really good ship. This ship from the Skypiea arc, don't even bother. Moby Dick is definitely a must-get ship. You know, increasing your crew's health, 1.5 times attack. It's a very basic ship, but you start the quest at 50% health, which is actually good in a lot of cases, depending on your team composition. The buggy ship is terrible. We've got the Bezin Black, which was actually Kuro's ship. I'm going to say it's not very useful, but I'm not going to say it's not worth investing in either, because the Bezin Black is a really good mono quick ship and also gives you cooldown at the start of the fight, actually pretty good. The Kuzan bike ship is not too bad. It's another mono striker ship, but realistically, if you're building a mono striker team, you're probably using this, or you're going to use the Bato ship, which we'll talk about in a moment. This is the Ace ship, which honestly, it's not really that good because it is only a mono shooter ship, and if you are using mono shooters, the Kizaru ship is just better in my opinion. We have just the regular Sunny. The regular Sunny is actually sometimes useful because it does have a special that can do 50,000 damage to all enemies, and sometimes that little bit of chip damage is what can get you over the line in some circumstances. Sometimes if you've got a stage where they all have a combo hit barrier, or just any stage with a combo hit barrier, having a special that can do damage is kind of nice. We have the Don Krieg ship. I'm going to say this is a useful ship. This ship is interesting because it doesn't actually really give you much of a damage increase. But the thing is this is the only ship in the game that does, well, actually I say that's the only ship. There is another ship that also does it, but it's one of the only ships in the game that does end of turn damage. And you can just use it on a team to get around enemy resilience, which is mainly the reason why people use this ship. And it's actually kind of useful in a lot of cases, but of course, if you're looking to do a lot of damage, this is not the ship to use. And we got the Boa Hancock ship here. I'm going to say it's not very useful. It's a mono free spirit ship. It's not really that great. We have the Aneru ship, which is also, I guess it's kind of sometimes useful because it's one of those ships that can do a bit of fixed damage to all enemies. But I know that the cooldowns for some of these older ships are very, very high. And also this ship is only for quick and Psy characters, whereas you've got the Sunny, which can sort of do a similar thing. Is only for, well, it's actually for all characters, which does make it a little bit more useful. The Red Force, Shanks's ship, we probably need a new version of the Red Force in my opinion. It's not very useful. It is a mono cerebral ship. If you're building a cerebral team, you're going to be using Zunisha in a lot of cases. The Jinbei fighter ship is actually okay. It's just a mono fighter ship. It gives you lots of health. It gives you lots of attack. It's just a solid ship. Dofi's ship is fine. Again, it's just mono driven. A lot of these training forest ships, they're just fine. Just mid-level ships. Back in the day, they would have been considered to be overpowered, but because of some of the ships that we have access to now, a lot of these ships are not very useful. We've got the Rocket Man. The Rocket Man is okay. It's a damage dealing ship with a special, but it is only to a single target. If you're building mono powerhouse, it's fine. It does give you good end of turn healing, but the problem is if you're running a powerhouse team, you're probably using Zunisha or some other ship that is just better. The Garp ship, probably not worth it. Law's ship is actually pretty good. Depending on the team comp, you can get some good healing out of it, pretty good. I believe it's also for slashers as well, so it's a good slasher and free spirit ship. The Coated Sunny is also sometimes very useful. Being able to just get a 50% damage reduction sometimes is the key in order to get through some content. We have the Kizaru ship, which I think is a little bit better than Ace's ship, but I mean, realistically, it's probably still a low-level ship because, again, if you're running a mono shooter team, it's probably not a good team to begin with. At least this ship does give you cooldown, and it does have a 7% health cut with its special ability, which again is just a nice little touch. But if you're running a, sometimes, depending on the shooter captain, of course, sometimes shooters will have that secondary class, whether it's cerebral or free spirit. You can have other ships that work a lot better, so it depends on the team comp. Bato's ship is actually pretty nice. It does give you some nice effects, but it does really hurt if you're up against an enemy that can blow away some of your characters. It can really hurt the usefulness of the ship. The Gecko Moria Thriller Bark ship is terrible. This ship from Skypiea, also terrible. It has an interesting special though. It can delay enemies, which is kind of cool, but it's bad. This used to be one of the best ships in the game, but because of the Ho and the Whale Shark ship, this ship is basically useless now. I would say it's not very useful. It does have an interesting ship special, which I believe enables you to inflict defense reduction to the enemy. So if you've got a defense down conditional, you can apply stuff like that. The Blackbeard ship is a useful ship. Now, in order to get it to work, you need a fighter, slasher, shooter, and a striker, but it gives you good health boost, gives you a really good attack boost, and it also gives you cooldown at the start of the quest. Depending on the team comp, definitely a worthwhile ship. Blackbirds, I'd say, is also relatively useful, allowing you to be a very good attack booster to strength, dex, and quick. Once again, also gives you cooldown at the start of the quest. Zunisha is without doubt a must pick up ship. Perfect's easy to hit, cerebral and a powerhouse ship, recovery and tandem slots beneficial. So OP, so amazing. On release was probably the best ship in the game, and still to this date is still one of the best. We have Foxy's ship, probably not very useful. It does increase your berries earned, but farming for berries, not really a useful thing to do. We have the V1 Capone ship. Now, this is the other ship, kind of like the Don Krieg ship, that can do end of turn damage. But the problem is that it has a really big drawback, where you're not allowed to bring, what was it again? I think you can't bring Free Spirit, Powerhouse, or Cerebral, something like that. There's certain classes that you're not allowed to bring, otherwise it severely reduces the crew's attack, and that is terrible. Like, the restrictions on this ship are so bad, and in a lot of cases, it's essentially useless because you just can't build a team with it. Still to this day, I have never used this ship for any content ever just because of its restrictions. I'm going to say do not bother with this ship. The Big Mama ship is sometimes useful. It has a really cool effect where depending on your captain, if you've got a driven or a powerhouse captain, and then it boosts strength, dex, and quick. So there are some teams that can really abuse that, and if you hit like 3 perfects, it gives you a 1.65 times boost. It has a special that can generate a recovery slot for your crew, so that's also kind of cool. We've got the Germa ship. Now, this is a really difficult one to place because the ship and what it does is very good, but the condition for this ship is terrible. So I'm going to say it's probably a sometimes useful ship, because in order to use it effectively, you need to have one of every color on your team, which is obviously terrible. But if you do get that to activate, you get -2 cooldown at the start of the quest, a really good attack boost, and I believe it makes tandem slots beneficial as well. The Germa ship is good, but it's very hard to use effectively. Now, the Ho ship is, again, one of the top ships in the game. If you are a beginner player in the game, this should be the first ship that you should be unlocking. It gives you more EXP, which allows you to level up faster, which gives you more stamina to farm content with. The Ho ship should be every player's first unlockable ship that they should be buying. It is the best ship to be purchasing, just straight up. And you can ask any person out there, they're going to say this is probably the best ship to pick up if you're a beginner player. Now, the Megalo ship, I would also say, is probably a must-purchase ship. I think many people would probably list it in the useful tier. I think it's a must-purchase. I've used this ship a lot, and it's just so useful. In order to get it to work, you need your captain to be Psi or Int, It doesn't boost Sile Int, but your captain needs to be Sile Int. I believe that's what it is in order to get the buff. And the ship's special allowing you to lock slots. Like, locking slots is a super underrated effect in the game. Megalo is so good, dude. I can't stress that enough how good this ship is. Ace's ship is a sometimes useful ship. This ship allows you to get a pretty substantial attack boost if you're below 30%. I believe it boosts Free Spirit, Powerhouse, and Fighters. And, if you're below 30%, it goes to 1.6 or something. So it's a fine ship. It's okay. The Koi ship, I would say, is not very useful. I'd say it probably is a sometimes useful ship. It boosts Quick and Int, and it does have a really interesting special with a heal and a chain boost. But it's probably not the best ship out there. Quick kind of struggle with their ships. There's not a good array of ships for Quick teams in general. We have Hawkins' ship, which is also a sometimes useful ship. Some people probably would list it up here, but again, it's one of those ships that, from personally speaking, I haven't really used it that much, and it's for slashers and strikers. And I think it is only for slashers and strikers, but it also provides some really interesting effects to the crew. It can also give you cooldown at the start of the quest, and it also will give you a higher attack boost if you've got like a rainbow slot or a Wano slot. I think also matching slots also count too. So like, this is a pretty solid ship if you're running slashers or striker based teams. But of course, there are other ships here that you can also use in a probably more useful in a lot of ways compared to this ship. And we got the Shark Superb. This is also a must-get ship. If you are building teams for Kizuna Clash, this ship is just phenomenal, giving you so much damage. This is the highest multiplier ship in the game. It starts off at a 2x multiplier, and every turn that goes by reduces the attack multiplier. I think it takes 10 turns, and it goes all the way down to 1.3. But because Kizuna Clash, for example, is only a 3-stage fight, by the time you reach that last stage, the ship's multiplier will still be like a 1.8 or something like that, which is the highest multiplier, as I said. It also makes perfects easier to hit. It gives you cooldown at the start of the quest, but it does rely on your captain to be strength, dex, or quick. But the rest of the characters can be whatever color you want, but as long as your captain is strength, dex, or quick, this ship is going to work easily. A must pick up ship if you're building stuff for this game. The Kid ship, I would say, is also a sometimes useful ship. It's based on strength and dex captain, and it's got a really cool special that can remove enemy barriers, and there's some cases where this ship is going to be really good. I really do like this ship. It's pretty nice to have. The Liberal Hind, easily a must-get ship, really high multipliers, and if you're building a Psy-based team, yellow team, the Liberal Hind is going to be great, because if you have a full Psy team, it's a 1.7 times multiplier. It's ridiculous. It also gives you cooldown at the start of the quest, 1000 additional healing. It also, I think your captain has to be Cerebral, Free Spirit, or Slasher, I believe it is. But still, like, the condition isn't really that bad, because a lot of the best characters in the game are one of those classes. And, as I said, if you're running a mono Psy team, you get a lot out of this for sure. But definitely one of the best ships in the game. We have the secondary Capone ship, and this is a really useful ship. I don't know about a must get, because a lot of these other ships you could still use anyway, but the Capone ship is really good. Strength, Int, and Psy based ship gives you cooldown at the start of the quest again, and depending on your HP, will give you a higher boost. So if you're at full HP, or if you're below 30%, it gives you the 1.7 boost. Otherwise, I believe it's 1.55. Actually, I've got it up here. I can actually just have a quick look in terms of what it gives you. Yeah, it's 1.55. So that's actually really nice, right? So this is a useful ship, and if you end up having a team that can heal you back to full when you're on your burst turns, or if you're at really low thresholds on your burst turns, this is a really good ship to have. We've got 2 more to go. We have the Oro Jackson, definitely one of the best ships in the game. If your team is mono slasher or mono free spirit or a mixture of the both, this is the best ship to run in the game, because it gives you like recovery and tandem slots matching, additional healing, extremely good attack boost, it gives you a health boost, and it also has one of the best ship specials in the game that removes 2 turns of paralysis. So not really much else to really argue there. I mean, just on paper is the best ship in the game, realistically is the best ship. If this was a rainbow ship, no one would doubt that this is the best offensively focused ship in the game. I guess for also utility, damage, matching slots, it's so good. But it is only restricted to Free Spirit and Slasher, so if your teams aren't focused around that, then you probably don't want to pick this up immediately. but still a very, very good ship. And then we have the Whale Shark, who without doubt is a top ship in the game. Being able to make tandem slots matching, a rainbow ship as well. Like, it just boosts everyone's attack by 1.6, gives you cooldown, it also has additional EXP, and then as we said, the tandem slots matching just tips this one over the edge. And I think with that, I think I'm pretty comfortable with this list in terms of ranking all of these ships in the game. If you're starting the game, these are the ships that you probably want to go ahead and pick up first. If I had to rank each of these, I think in terms of usefulness, like if you're a new player and what to pick up, this is probably what I would suggest. I think this one is probably next. I'd say probably the Shark ship is going to be next. Shark is probably a little bit higher because Liberal Hind can be replaced, I would say. So probably like this. And then we've got Zunisha. The thing about this is that Moby Dick is a free ship, so you can get him whenever you want. You just have to beat the Whitebeard Forest. Zunisha, it should be quite high on a lot of people's lists. And then that would be it. That would probably be my rank for the top ships here. Get Ho first. Whale Shark is really good for second. This is really good for Kizuna. And then if you're running Cerebral Powerhouse teams, like these ones are really good. Megalo is a solid ship. If you're running Slasher Free Spirit, this is really good. And you can get this whenever you want. So that's obviously really, really good. But anyways, with all that being said, that is going to wrap it up for me. So thank you so much for watching. And if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But on that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.